welcome to another Lumineth Realm
Hello there,
Lords
welcome.
video. Today we are going to be talking all things Teclis. So it's hotly requested because
it is.
We've glossed over him quite a lot on our shows.
That's not just because of how difficult he is to, fit in a list when points feel tight anyway, is it?
It's because he's also a kind of like crazy another level. It's almost, as soon as you put him in your army, you're almost writing a different army to a traditional Lumineth army, if that makes sense. So
you can't think it's no longer Marshall, it's Teclis and what supports Teclis, isn't it?
It's all about Teclis. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through his Warscroll and some of the spell laws and some important points about him. And then we're going to also look at what great nation he fits in with the best. And then we'll finish up with trying to write an army list.
Yeah. So stick around till the end. We will. We're not just going to say, "Oh, it's hard to make him fit." We're going to show.
You're going to show how hard it is to squeeze him in. So we're going to be doing that basically on the fly. It's not prepared. I haven't got a list that I've prepared, so I no doubt won't be able to fit half the stuff in I want, and I'll feel like I'm playing with Slanesh again. So
Russ has got a sweet 2,300 point list written in his head.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, I was like that with every Slanesh army yesterday, so it's I spent about 4 hours trying to get to a list that I was happy with. So
at bare minimum, you had like a 2,000 and 20 point list.
I know,
right?
Just 20 points. You're just like, where is it? And I've heard from a lot of Lumineth players from back when the first book come out that they always felt they were 20 points too much. So we'll find out if I have the same issue. Anyway, so quickly going into it, let's just talk about his Warscroll, which is a beast. Okay, so he's obviously got 16 wounds, 4-up save. He's quite fast as a 12-inch move with fly.
Yep.
Bravery 10, which doesn't really matter. And then you've got a Lunar Staff, which is a shooting attack. 18 inches, one shot, 2s, Ren 3, damage D6. So a nice little poke.
Quite cool, really. Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous poke. The 3 Rens makes the biggest difference there.
2s and 2s as well. Like
2s and 2s, it's getting through generally.
Yeah. It'll be, always roll a 1. No. Then you've got the Sword of Teclis, which is 2 attacks, 4s, 2s, rend 3, damage D3. And his Moonbright Talons, which is the most macho sounding profile we could have, which is 6 attacks, freeze, -2, damage 2, off Selenar, which is just okay. He's not. He's got a small amount of good rend, fairly solid quality attacks, but you probably don't want this boy anywhere where he's going to be using them. They are range 1 as well, so if you can hit someone, they can hit you. You can't really screen him behind and use your reach like you can with some other models.
No.
I would say he's probably going to be a bit like Arcan the Black, only not as cool. Because basically he's probably quite good at flying off and killing a small support unit or taking on a 5-wound hero or something like that, but you don't really want him going into a vampire or zombie dragon or Bellicor or something like that, because you're probably going to get your puffy pant ass handed to you. So if you got attacked by even 10 semi-elites or witch elves or anything like that, anything with rend like ultra elites, battle line for daughters, if you got attacked by anything with, especially if it had Rend 1, which is pretty common these days, even Rend 2 is, more prevalent, or they had some mortal wounds or whatever. Like some type of troop with 3 attacks per model, 4s and 4s, even 10 of that is quite scary when you're running a model like this. I would liken him on the table in terms of resilience to Alariel, actually. I think where he shines, though, is when we get into his special rules now, because obviously that's his starting point, and all the magic spells he has access to, endless spells and abilities through Aether Quartz allows him to become a lot better in combat. And obviously with Lumineth, because you could activate 2 units before your opponent gets to activate, you can play aggressive with him, and I think you're going to need to if you want to get the most out of your army. So
to the range of stuff as well. You like ranges of your buffs, ranges of your spells, ranges of your debuffs. If they're not 24 inches away, then we'll see.
It's
educate us.
It's
Let's
okay.
go.
So he has the ability Archmage. So at the start of your hero phase, you must say if you will cast 1, 2, or 4 spells. So if you will cast 1, so when you attempt to cast a spell, it's automatically cast and cannot be unbound. So you get 1 automatic, can't stop it, can't unbind it, can't use an auto unbind scroll, nothing. Then the other option is to cast 2 spells which cast on a 12 automatically. Now, they can't be modified, so they can't be reduced. And enemy wizards can unbind them, but generally you're not going to be able to, because you need to get more than 12, so you need to have a bonus to your unbind, or you need an auto stop.
Yeah, you can't plan on a 1 in 36 chance of getting 2 6s, so you'd need someone who was at +3, and you'd still only be in with like a 1 in 8 chance of stopping it.
But
so,
even on a double 6, you still need +1 to unbind, or you can't even.
Yeah, exactly. It'd have to be +3 to dispel, which is pretty uncommon.
No, I think maybe the Lord of Change could get away with it if you use his ability to. I don't even know if that works on unbind. I think it might only be casting. So let me know in the comments below. I'm probably wrong as usual. So when I start going off script with things that are rattling around my head, it's generally like some misconception. You get the book out and you just get disappointed. Anyway, so you can also cast 4 spells. Each is automatically cast on a 10. They can't be modified. Enemy wizards can attempt to unbind them. Now, even that is particularly good. I think you're defaulting around there unless you've got a 2 spell combo you absolutely want, or a 1 absolute game winning spell. Now,
just to clarify as well, it is up to 4. So if for some reason you wanted to do 3, you could, but
but you're always gonna
go to 4. Yeah. It's either 2 or,
unless you're playing against Zinch, you might want to give him the summoning points, I guess. But so there's that, and then just a quick one on this. I looked at the FAQ. So whenever you look at stuff, it's a good idea just to check the FAQs. So on the community website, you've got up here this FAQs and downloads FAQs. Also, someone asked, where does the list builder come from? It comes from here, Warscroll builder. It's free, it's amazing. It takes a little bit of time to get updated, but it's generally updated within a week. It's just better than some of their other applications, so I would suggest doing that. Always double check from the books, because they're like they are the actual 100% right. So one of the things that here is interesting. It says, can you explain what happens if Teclis casts a spell within range of an effect that causes you to reroll, change, or replace a successful casting roll? As you do not roll the dice, the spell cast with the Archmage cannot be re-rolled, changed, or replaced.
Interesting.
So anyone who says re-roll successful cast, or if you don't have to do that because you don't roll any dice.
Sorry, Corn.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Hex Gorgeous Scrolls. It's not good. So it's quite interesting that they've clarified that. There is something else I'm going to come to later. And I believe as well that clarification there from Archmage Teclis is just about the rules, because I think the previous printing was slightly different. The Warscroll is up to date, but cool. Some people were questioning Be'lakor interaction with Teclis, but he does stop him, because it's when you go to cast, so you still have to be
even though you don't do an action. Even though you don't do the physical action of rolling, you do the action of
attempting to cast. Yeah, and it's after the start, which is because at the start you declare how many you're going to do, and then when you cast, which is in the normal hero phase. So Be'lakor's ability does trigger. Wow, so
he's one of the
key pieces to I still think that STD list, anyway, it's a Teclis show, but so you've got Aura of Selenar. So add 1 to casting, dispelling, and unbinding for friendly Lumineth Realmlords unit within range of this model's Aura of Selenar ability. So it's 16 inches and it degrades, but obviously if you're leaning into your units casting, empowering their weapons or casting spells from the Venari units, then obviously that's very strong, because you're getting
really helpful.
But you're also getting
5s or 6s, and that's such a step up in terms of the reliability between like a 5 or anything. 7 and below just gets graphically more reliable with 1. one bonus to cast.
Particularly if you combine that with the endless spell, the gemstones of Hish or whatever.
So everyone's at +2 on their 5 to cast.
Pretty much,
basically.
Yeah. So
sick.
You're there, and it also makes it harder to stop them. So,
yeah.
Then you've got the discs of the elementary in your hero phase. In addition to casting 1, 2, or 4, this model can automatically dispel an endless spell. So that doesn't take a cast up. And in the enemy hero phase, he can automatically unbind an enemy spell. So super powerful.
Absolute magic supremacy without, he is at the tippity top, isn't he? Nothing else,
just
the Gash can do more spells, but they're not that reliable. Like he just removes probability, doesn't he? Pretty much.
No, exactly. And I think, it's having an automatic dispel scroll every turn is so powerful. Because even I've seen Nagash try to unbind something and fail, or try to cast and fail. It's very rare.
Let's just put that into perspective. Someone could have rolled a double 6 and be at +3 to cast.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yes. Then you've got the Seeing Stone of Selenar. So each time a friendly unit within range of this Aura of Selenar ability is affected by an endless spell or spell cast by an enemy wizard, you can roll a dice. On a 4+, ignore the effects of the spell or endless spell that turn, then pick one enemy unit within 18 of that unit. That enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and it's shown on his damage table. So you basically get an Archeon ignore spells, and on a 4+, if you do it, you could then hit the enemy units with damage. So it's like a reflection.
I have a question. Does this affect your endless spells that are affecting those units?
No, it's FAQ'd. So cool. This is another thing I was going to go to. So it's really well segued and not prepared at all, which was amazing. It says here.
There's just a comma missing, isn't there? Or something?
Yeah, basically. I'm trying to find it now because it's probably in here.
The intent's pretty clear. If it came from an enemy, then that shouldn't be the case, but the grammar isn't clear.
Oh my god, how can you explain this? It's successfully cast Summon a Phantom. Oh, I had it earlier. Why can't I find it now? Anyway, no. Believe me. Oh, there we go. Can I use Seeing Stone of Selenar rule to ignore the effects of endless spells cast by friendly wizards? Answer no. So it's the new magenta text at the bottom. I knew it was there. I read it literally an hour ago.
Both a good and a bad thing, because it could mean that you could drop a load of super damagey spells amongst your own dunes and then, just not give a shit. So that makes sense for it. It's not.
Not only that, you could have hit your own min on intentional to bounce the D3s onto the enemy.
Exactly, which that's exactly where my head went to as the first option.
And even if you every time, say for example, you add the +1 to cast endless spell, giving you +1, that's kind of affecting you, right? Because you're choosing to, and then you could 4-up it and bounce. So that's probably why it's there, because there were so many abusive things,
exploitations,
and you'd probably need about 20-page FAQ for each endless spell on how it interacts. So I think,
and if you're playing Lumineth, you don't need any more rules.
You don't need any more help. Is probably the way to describe it. I guess.
Fair.
Yeah, and then one of the things that Teclis has, obviously, like he's got all this stuff, and you get great, and you look at his Warscroll, and there's no spells on there. Oh, there is actually. There should be. There should be spells. I might have just glossed over it.
No, there isn't spells on this Warscroll.
Well, there is. On this Warscroll, they're missing. Brilliant. So obviously well prepared. So I have to go to the book, but they are there. You can believe me. You should have the book so you can
read them out in your voice.
I will read
also,
because I just thought, hang on a minute, he's missing half his rules here.
Good. Notably missing from the scroll, and actually missing, is any type of an after save on his profile. I'm sure Russ will talk about different ways to protect him soon, but
well,
a lot of the time when you see this many wounds, that there should be some way to make yourself not die to 20 archers who got lucky.
So let's talk about his spells in relation to that. So I'm sorry I haven't got them on the screen. I assumed that their digital Warscroll would include all his rules, but I was wrong. So Teclis is a wizard. In a number of spells he can cast is determined by the Archmage ability on the left. He can attempt to unbind any number of spells in the enemy hero phase, so he's got unlimited unbinds. So, wow. I mean, yeah, it's pretty solid, right? Then also he knows Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, Protection of Teclis, and Storm of Searing White Light. So these are the 2 spells he has uniquely to him. So Protection of Teclis is on a 10. So obviously if he casts it, it's pretty much automatic because you're always going to be a 10 or more. So if it's automatic. Until your next hero phase, roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit wholly within 18. On a 5+, the wound or mortal wound is negated. You cannot combine this with Protection of Hish, but why would you? Yeah. So, pretty good, right?
Yeah, super solid.
18-inch 5-up save on your whole army. So,
is it wholly within or just within?
Wholly.
Okay then, but I mean, you're on a massive base.
It's still a huge radius.
Yeah, it's obscene. Having said that, it's not a 4-up. Very obvious statement because it isn't.
If it was, it'd be busted.
It would be absolutely busted. A 5-up is. It's probably just pitched at the right level for me, but still, that dude is going to be scared of being hit by 40 archers of any type. You know, as long as it's not like 5s and 5s or something. You mean still...
Teclis?
Yeah.
Well, when we get onto the nations, I've got a little trick which I'll explain, which might get you out of that. So, then you've also got the Storm of Searing White Light. So on a 10 again, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 18 that's visible. On a 1, do nothing. 2 to 4, the unit takes D3 mortals. On a 5+, they take D6 mortals.
It's all right.
It's really good.
That is an incredible reason to be up close and personal, or at least up closer and within range to touch multiple things. Like anyone who's ever looked at, you know, AoE spells in Age of Sigmar, they tend to not be very long. You know, within 3 inches, within 6 inches is super common. Within 18 and at more damage, and on a 10, which is more difficult to stop, is just horrific.
Or unstoppable if he uses his ability.
Well, I was going to say, I could, if you are getting in there, that is such an incredible spell. I could literally see you just choosing that over anything else. You know, right, I'm going to cast 1 spell, and it's going through, because that poops all over Cacophonic Choir, doesn't it? That's like old Cacophonic Choir.
Yeah, I think it's like, in many ways, when it's not on a Slanesh model. I was winding by up. We love Slanesh. Don't misconstrue our hate comments.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, I would really like CAC to actually be worth casting.
Yeah. Well, what is good is that comboed with the Umbral Spell Portal for unlimited fun on turn 1. Unstoppable damage bomb.
You can pick for both of those to be cast on a 12.
Yeah. Or you could just be outside of 30 so they can't actually stop you. And then you can put the mirror out and then bounce off of that and hit their whole army. Yay.
Okay.
Yay. Fun. And then people complaining he's too expensive.
Yeah. Like he needs to be lots of points.
So, spell faux pas on the Warscroll. Sorry about that, guys. If you've got the book, you can read along. But
we've got plenty of other spells prep, though.
We've got 18 more spells to talk about. No, we're not going to do one by one. We're going to do...
No. Let's cover the highlights then, as far as you see it.
So, basically, what happens is, if this works, is we have access to all 3 of the Lumineth laws, and we know every single spell in those laws. So that's the Law of the Winds. We've got the Law of Hish and the Law of the High Peaks. Now, some of the things in here we basically pointed out to be extremely powerful. So, you know, I'll just go through the highlights. There'll be other stuff in here. You can do other combos. It'll be very situational. But I think the key point is you've got access to anything you need and pretty much can guarantee it being cast. So it's so powerful if you want to mitigate something or counter something the enemy has. It's just so good. Like
screw fate dice? How about just getting to do exactly what you want and you pick it and it happens, and there's not any probability involved?
No, and you could do stuff like Howling Gale. So you could pick an enemy unit they can't benefit from command abilities. So if anyone's using like Flesh Eater stuff where they're going, oh, I want to go twice, Feeding Frenzy, or when I die, Gristle Gore, or, you know, I want to make that unit immune to Battle Shock, or you can just go, no, stop it, can't do anything, shoot some off, Battle Shock them off, can't stop it. You've got Guiding Flurries, so that means you can buff your shooting on a unit of Sentinels if you really want to. You know, you've got a heal as well. So you've got the Calming Zephyr, heal up to D3 wounds. So that can be, you can heal a Lumineth Realm Lord's unit. So it could be himself. He could heal D3 wounds. Then you've got like an AoE, but you'd be using that. Transporting Vortex, you can basically teleport a unit. So he can use his, if you've got a Lore Seeker out there and you've got a Blade Lord shield, he could pick the Blade Lords up and drop them on the Lore Seeker. So that gives him his ablative wounds, and that's, you could do that on turn 1. You know, guaranteed. It could be just a drop.
He's the most linchpin that's existed in Warhammer ever, isn't he?
You could even just do that with a unit of Sentinels, just to shoot something if you wanted
absolutely.
to. So all amazing. You know, you can also got Freezing Squall, which unit cannot run, which is okay. But
more exciting stuff though when you've got so much choice, right? I would be taking a colored pen, and management of what you're doing when you have a model with this much choice is an important thing. Read these spells and make some notes on your book, or, you know, put a post-it there if you don't like drawing on your books or whatever. But having a couple of these circled as like the go-tos will make a difference in your game. And you could even do like red for offensive and green for protective or something like that. But you have so much choice, it definitely makes sense to have you know, these rated in your book when it comes to a game, because you're picking between 20 spells, I think.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And then you've got Law of Hish, so Total Eclipse. So your opponent got to spend 2 command abilities when they use an ability instead of 1. So again, that could just shut down some combos. It's a cast on an 8 naturally, so doing it automatically on a 10. So it automatically can be unbind, but you know what I mean? Like, guaranteed, you don't have to roll the dice to cast it, whether it gets stopped or not, but is extremely good.
Protection of Hish doesn't need reading because you've got a better one.
Yeah, you won't use that.
Skip it.
You can Ethereal, you can ignore modifiers on a save, so you could do it on yourself as well. So you can have a 4-up unmodified save if you want to.
Remember that will debuff you if you were planning on getting +1 from other sources.
Yeah. So it's both positive and negative modifiers. Obviously, Lambert Light, everyone knows that that's the reroll hit rolls, and it's really good with Sentinels. But I mean, you could just cast that off the Sentinels. All of these can be given to your normal Venari units. But being on Teclis, because he killed the option, if it's really important, you can just force it through.
Yeah.
Solar Flare, quite interesting. So that's the one where you basically pick a point, and then roll a number of dice equal to the models on that unit, and then basically subtract 2 from casting for wizards within 12 of that point. So you could, if you were playing I mean, I don't think you'd use that because your anti-magic's so good, but you could really like hurt Nagash if you wanted to, or something.
You could use it as a way with portals to maybe just, you know, get something in range that you couldn't be in range of safely or something, but he's so solid anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously speed is double your move, so it could be good. And then you've got the Law of the High Peaks, so probably on here, which is pretty good. That you've got, you could basically say that you don't want Battle Shot, which is okay, but Voice of the Mountains is subtract 2 from bravery of enemy units. So you could do for a combo, for example, you could go, well, you have to spend 2 command points for each ability. That unit can't use a command ability, and now all your bravery is down by 2, and now I'm going to spread my shots around and just cause battle shock all over your army. So, you know, or even just use Teclis's explosion and hit everything, and they all have to take battle shock because voice isn't targeted. It's just a table wide, and same with the other. So you could literally use voice with the 2 command points per ability. And that one, they're both not ranged on turn 1 with the spell portal and the explosion, and suddenly the enemy's in a lot of trouble.
That's a really good point.
So these sort of combos are stuff you want to be looking at, especially when what your enemy's using. That if
normally you don't get access to this, do you? Because you have to pick one from each. Therefore, you can't. You always try and pick a spell that is going to be, the most usable in the most situations to your army and the most relevant. Whereas you just got all of these now. So if you face someone who specifically is like, I don't know, very low bravery, high armor save, greenskins, something like that. You're playing against orcs. Then you can go for some bravery damage bomb combo instead of buffing your archers because you think that's going to be better or whatever.
Just let the battle shot work. It's
absolutely.
So you've got all these. I mean, you've got the Assault of Stone. I mean, I'm not going to read all of these, but basically, you've got all these spells. So this whole suite of spells that you can use, which allows you to toolbox and making the decision about what he casts and how often is going to be important to get the most out of him.
It is. So I have a couple of questions. Are you ever going to put him in a list without a way to extend his range with, other endless spells? You just always how many points is he? Is he 600?
660.
Does he come in at 690 or whatever it is, actually realistically? Because so many of these have a shorter range than you would want and are 4 times as good if you can do them from further away.
I think he comes in at what would it be, 730, because that's with Umbral Spell Portal.
Yeah,
I think it's almost automatic to put the spell portal in if you're playing Teclis.
I completely agree. You can only put one. To remind people, you can cast spell portal with anyone, but can only put one spell through it, and it's not per wizard; it's just one spell. Period.
Yeah. But you don't need to put anything other than his Searing Light spell through it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you pretty much you could go spell portal, Searing Light, protection,
bravery debuff,
because you probably won't have a Stone Mage, and then the other spell, which is the 2 command points, you can cast off any of your Venari units, and they're getting +1. And you could get +1 for the twin stones that you cast from another Venari. So if you put Sentinels and Wardens in your list for your battle line, that's giving you 4 extra casters at +2, +1 respectively, and they can cast the spell, which is Total Eclipse. It's on an 8, but if you're using the twin stones, you can tick that up to make that almost a guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you sort of say, well, take your battle shocks and just watch the army implode. I mean, it's you could still cast. You could even, if you really wanted to lean into the shooting, you could Lambent Light through the portal. Yeah. Or I just think the AoE Mortal Wounds is just going to be way better.
I can't see. I think that's the default, and you have to find a good reason to not do it.
Yeah.
So you see this guy as being in armies that are magic-y as well, or is he as viable, Nagash style, to drop him in an army that's all-out combat or something, and that's just everything you're ever going to need for magic handled? Or do you think once you start down that path, you continue down it, and I think you kind of...
The only reason you need combat is to do damage, and I think if you can do damage in other ways, you don't necessarily need it. So I think the issue you've got, if you lose Teclis, you're pretty much screwed. So I think Lumineth have access to a balanced army with Teclis, so you have a bit of shooting, a bit of combat. It's not amazing, it's not like elite superpower combo, but it's still good. So I just don't think you need to worry about that. I just think you put a balanced list in around him. I mean, the immediate thing that screams to me is Orient Legion, but we'll get there. That's my immediate thinking. I mean, I think you want a formation because you want to be low drop, because when we get onto his weaknesses, one of the weaknesses is going to be alpha striking him before protection's up.
Hello, KO.
Well, KO are one of the armies that you're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah.
So let's talk about nations. So he doesn't have a nation keyword. So basically, when you pick a great nation, these things also affect Teclis. So You've got Zaytrek. So this won't really do anything to him because he doesn't affect him at all. But it says add 1 to the first cast, unbind, dispel roll you make for each wizard in the hero phase. It will affect on the unbinding roll, I guess, but all the other stuff. So because you're getting a +1 to cast, you're getting +1 from Teclis, and if you've got the twin stones, you get another +1. You're going to be at quite a hefty bonus to cast. You're going to be +3 minimum. I'll talk about the twin stones in a minute if people who are not sure why they work. In addition, each Zytrek wizard knows 1 extra spell from the appropriate lore, so don't really need it, but it does give you a bigger toolbox in your army for casting spells you don't want Teclis to cast because you want him to cast something else.
Yeah,
and they're still super reliable, so it's still quite good.
Yeah.
You also know Overwhelming Heat in addition, so this Teclis does get access to this. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit wholly within 24 of the caster, half the move of that unit until next hero phase, roll a dice. If the roll is equal or greater than the unit's save, it takes D3 mortal wounds. So it's okay. Probably won't be casting out of Teclis, but it's still a decent spell to cast from your wardens or something like that, because it could stop somebody being able to get to you, which is important. The fast learner command trait, so the general can unbind 1 extra spell. You don't need that because basically Teclis can unbind everything, so you don't care. Unless he's dead, then it might come useful. Then you've got the gift of Selenar. Roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer. Add 2 if Teclis is part of your army on the battlefield. On a 6, the wound or mortal wound is negated. So it's a 4-up after save, so that's quite useful.
So that is an efficiently pointed artifact being free. That's really good.
Yeah, and it's quite good if you were using a character like the new Dawn Rider dude, whatever his name is. You know, the Regent, Lord Regent.
Also, some of the super speedy wizards, potentially. It lets you be less worried about your cloud bloke or whatever.
Yeah, I think because Teclis gets access to their spell lore, like, they're not that likely to be included unless you're leaning into a formation to go with Teclis and you're in that temple. So, like, I think if you go Teclis plus Wind Temple and you just run the formation and Teclis and that's it, you've got a 2-drop army, you cover your battle line. I think it's a bit weaker because you'd have to play Hellion, but I think so I'm not sure that really. I don't think you'd have a Wind Mage in a Zytrek army is probably what I'm trying to say. But, might do. I mean, I might be wrong.
I don't think you'd run him in Zytrek personally. I have feelings about what you need to combat.
I agree with you. I think that Zytrek's sort of heralded as his legion, or his city, I should say, not legion, but that's his kind of his. I guess that's kind of his stuck. They're like, lean into Zytrek, but actually, I don't think it's the place for him to be.
I don't think you need any more help with, like, you're doing enough magic, guys.
Help,
just take your foot off the gas for a second and make sure that you can, actually start your car.
So, yeah, let's not overdo it. So, the great nation of Alumnia. So, this I think is a little bit of a hidden gem. So
this is my standout one.
And mostly because of after armies are set up, but before the first battle round, up to 3 friendly Venari or Sonari units can make a normal move but cannot run. So
don't need anything else.
Allows you to stop the alpha because basically
fine already. You
can put 2 units of Dawn Riders in.
That's a big
you
move.
Move them up, you push them back. They cannot drop their KO boat to shoot Teclis. He's safe. He gets his turn to do his magic shenanigans. Auto win, love it. Not auto win, but this is probably the best defensive ability you can give Teclis without it actually being anything to do with Teclis.
It doesn't cost you points. You don't have to buy models you don't want, or that are bad or that don't make sense. It doesn't involve you putting up some super expensive resilient screen of Stone Wardens or something like that.
You don't have to use your ally pool on Ungor Raiders or Untamed Beasts. You just and you're only not restricted to a 6-inch move. So
stop your poking. Stop it.
Sorry.
Too easily baited.
I know. I just want to see you snap. I want to see Steam.
I've got my stupid hat on, all right. That's enough. I'm talking about Teclis, and I'm telling people how to make him live longer, which is definitely not within my interest.
No, it's not what we want.
But this is this is default as far as I'm concerned. Like, give me a good reason to not do this, and I almost don't care about what you're going to read for the rest of this little box either.
I will make you doubt yourself with the next nation.
Okay, then. So let's see how this goes.
So command ability seize the moment. So obviously in your charge phase, one friendly Alumnia unit that ran can also charge. So run and charge. Cool. It's all right. Just do bad about that. You've got the Burning Gaze trait. So pick a unit within 3. On a 2-up, they take a mortal wound. Don't care about that.
Nah.
Waystone. Once per battle in your movement phase, instead of making a normal move with the bearer, you could pick a point in the battlefield within 12. If you do so, remove the bearer, set them up again 1 inch to that point, 3 away from enemy units. So it's okay. Don't really...
Obviously, you can't put it on Teclis, so...
I don't really see the point when you're that fast. It's kind of like, meh, whatever.
So we literally didn't care about the following stuff anyway, because it's not
claim the field
exciting.
is literally the ability. But, okay, let's talk about Sire.
All right, then. Go for it. Do it.
There's a little cheeky combo in here. Okay, so Sire units start the game with 2 Aether Quartz instead of 1. So people who don't know, Aether Quartz allows you to burn it for an ability. And one of the abilities is +1 armor save for in a phase. And you can only do 1 unit per phase. Now, Sire get a command ability called Deplete Reserves. It says you can use this ability when a friendly Sire unit could use an Aether Quartz ability. Even if a friendly Sire unit have already done so, pick 1 Sire unit that has any Aether Quartz reserves holding an 18 of a Sire hero and use 1 of its Aether Quartz reserves. Now, it doesn't say it cannot be the same unit, and it doesn't say you cannot do the same ability. And actually, it's been FAQ'd that you can double stack plus save, so you can get Teclis to a 2+ armor save.
Okay.
So it's only for 1 phase, and all his Aether Quartz would be gone.
You only need to turn 1.
But sometimes you only need that first shooting phase. So I don't know. I think that's pretty strong as an anti-alpha. Also, all your units have got 2 Aether Quartz, and Aether Quartz can be used for so heightened senses, so you can add 1 to hit rolls when you shoot or fight. You can get magical boost, so you can add 1 to the casting or re-roll the casting roll. So you can literally like get more reliable magic. So it's like the Zytrek thing. I mean, Zytrek have Aether Quartz as well, but I get 2 per unit, so it's a little bit a little bit more thirsty with it. Magical insight. You can attempt to cast 1 extra spell, so you can sort of say I'm going to cast Lambent Light and I'm going to bust my shooting, or I'm going to do this and that. So, but obviously the armor save as well, heightened reflexes. You can use once per phase per unit, but the command ability allows you to skip that over. So you might have 2 units that go for magical boost or magical insight. So it's in the hero phase, it costs you a command point, and then like if they're shooting phase, they shoot you. You could go cost a command point and do this. So it's pretty good, I think.
I think I would just be using it to boost Teclis save and not using the command points on anything else. No,
probably not. But you can only do it once in the game, because once his Aether Quartz is gone, it's gone. Obviously, Aether Quartz does give you minuses to your bravery, so. But I don't think you really care too much.
Nah, it's a very specific situation where you do actually care about
and
that.
You do have ways to make your army immune to battle shock with spells. I think there's a couple that give you immunity to battle shock. So then you've got Goading Arrogance. So there's a command trait. So at the start of the combat phase, pick 1 enemy hero within 6 of the general. If that enemy hero can only target this general... in addition, so basically that enemy hero can only target this general in that phase. In addition, you can add 1 to hit rolls for attacks that target that enemy hero in that phase. So, how does this work with Teclis? So, put your model next to Teclis, that's your general, like your Kaflar or your guy. If they charge Teclis with their superhero dive over the top fly model, then you go, you can only hit my general this phase, so they can't hit Teclis. So it's a way of switching off a enemy hero hitting Teclis if you're within 6 of them when they charge Teclis. So if you're stood next to him, And also it means Teclis is going to get +1 to hit him when he hits that model. So
yeah,
it's another way. It's a bit janky, and it's a bit situational.
It's an option.
But some armies, their main option will be, I need to get this hero into your, and it'll good protection against the double turn. If they kill your screen, then they're into you, like with their Vampire Lord or their Terrorgeist, and you're like, actually, you can't hit him. Yeah. And it's for that phase, and it's at the start of the combat phase, so it's not like, oh, if the model gets killed, then you can go again and you can hit Teclis. You just can't hit him.
Just imagine a Terrorgeist or Archeon weeping because they killed a 130-point model with 3 attack phases. It's grim, isn't it?
It's horrific, isn't it? So that I think is quite strong. And then obviously you've got the artifact, the Perfect Blade. Pick one of the many weapons. If a modified hit roll of 3 made by that weapon always hits the target, and a modified hit roll of 3 is always successful, and the modified save roll of 3 or less, it always fails. So a modified wound roll of 3, so you always hit on a 3, you always hit on a 3 or better.
All right. And
they always fail their save on a 1 or a 2. So it sounds not brilliant, but actually it's quite good, particularly if you've got someone who wants to have a save, like a 2-up rerollable or something like that. You know, it's quite good. I mean, it's not amazing, but you've got to take it, and it's not the worst artifact in the world. So
you've done a good job of trying to convince me. I have a question though. If you're going between Alumnia and Sire, like, what do you think? Should you be going more well-rounded, as in I can alpha move and just nothing can reach me? Or should you be going more specific? Because the big thing that stands out to me with Sire is if you come up against someone who's low drops and can shoot with mortal wounds, I think just a perfect example of this, that does nothing for your Teclis, right?
No, but the way
specific.
Finch do damage is generally you just about the change host flamer shooting.
Yeah.
But that's not mortal wounds, and if it's mortal wounds, it's a spell, and they're not getting spells off.
Fair.
Like, so I generally, the reason I prefer Sire
6s or something.
Yeah, I mean, like the Great Nation Alumnia, like everything else in there is pretty much mute, right? So it's just that first bit. That only really comes into play against alpha drop armies.
Sure.
What I like about Sire is it gives you a lot more stuff, especially if you want to play aggressively, to impact the game with other units in your army throughout the game.
It's more flexible and reactive, isn't it?
And you've still got a way of protecting you against a turn 1 drop.
Cool.
So I personally, I would play Sire unless the meta in your area is everyone plays 1 drop KO. Then I would obviously go straight to Alumnia. But I think Sire is kind of like the riskier play, but gives you more power in your army.
It's far more adaptable, for sure. It's not like I alphaed my units and I'm done, and maybe I didn't even want, I wanted to go first or didn't want to go first or something like that. Whereas this one is, they're shooting me, like that's gone well. I'm going to for them, therefore badly for me. I'm going to pop this ability twice and be a +2 save.
I mean, I know it's 1 turn and like it may not come into it, but you only need 1 turn to spread out and shut the board down. I like it. I think what I like about it as well, if you've got someone who shoots you from a long range that doesn't care about dropping near you, like they can move and shoot, for example, you're playing against another Lumineth army and they can run and shoot their dudes, or even against Slanesh or an ambushing unit that can fit in somewhere, or even if it's not ambushing, just like Mortek crawlers, like 40 odd inch range. You've just got a way of going, well, actually, I'll just both my armor save and just not care. Whereas Alumnia really doesn't do anything to protect you. Plus, with Alumnia, you're going to want to have fast moving units, so you're going to go, well, I need to buy Dawn Riders. And actually, you might not actually want to buy Dawn Riders because all you want is more shooting and more Wardens, and then you want to have Blade Lords and a Law Seeker. So it allows you to not be pigeonholed into taking Dawn Riders. I'm not saying Dawn Riders are a bad choice. I think they're a good choice in the army, but
you probably want to be getting maximum wounds for the minimum cost, given that you just spent 730 points on Teclis and a portal. Okay.
So that's my take on it. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's just where I'm leaning. Obviously, I've not played any games of it. It's just my initial impression.
Put it into practice then. Should we make a list? Should we have it?
We get no points now. Yeah, okay. Let's make an army. So we'll go to the Warscroll builder. Let's have a look. So hopefully this is up to date. So we're going to go for obviously Teclis is kind of important. So he's already there. I've already prepared this. Great nation. Should we go Sire then? Are we?
That's it. Yeah. Let's put your money where your mouth is.
I don't know what realm we're going to be in, but I just always put metal.
Obligatory spell for him as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's already there. So spell portal's already put in. I did prep a little bit for the show.
All good. Do you put things like Palisade in, or do you think you've got stuff covered?
Nah,
you got stuff covered.
Fuck Palisade. I don't need it.
Okay.
I think the problem is you're going to be, because with the portal, what you can do as well, because he gets the free dispel and it doesn't cost him a cast, he can every turn get rid of it, cast it next to him, and then cast aggressively through it. I just think what Palisade is going to be so situational. It might be good. I mean, if I've got 30 points left over, I'll stick Palisade in, but I'm only doing that. I want to run Nihiltian Twin Stones. I think that's good. And we talked about the Aurian Legion, and that takes up we need our battle lines, so let's go with 2 Wardens and 2 Sentinels.
CPs are going to come in tasty as well from taking a formation, right? If you are the ability to get +2 to your save, that's almost worth having a formation in just for that reason.
We need the Kevlar, and then we've got 460 points left. I think you're going to want a Law Seeker.
I was going to say, is he going to have to come out, though?
No.
No.
All right. We've got 300 points left. You could... Now, what you could do now is just boost both units of Sentinels to 20. It's 1980. And that's the Twin Stones, the Spell Portal, Aurian Legion, 2 units of 20 Sentinels, 2 units of 10 Wardens, a Law Seeker, a Kevlar, and Teclis.
You're good.
It's
Can you
quite
explain
small.
what the Twin Stones do, just for people in case they're not aware?
So what the Twin Stones do is they basically give you a casting
It's like a tick up, isn't it? It's like everyone who casts within range of them, they get +1, and then they can kind of then burn and reset.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That's
so cool. If you successfully cast it, set up the Twin Stones within 6 of the caster, and then it can move 8 as predatory. And then what happens is when a model is set up, place a d6 with the 1. Each time a spell is successfully cast by a unit within 12 and not unbind, after the effects of the spell has been resolved, increase the value of the dice by 1. If a Lumineth Realm Lord attempts to cast a spell while they're within 12, before making the casting roll, the player controlling the wizard can say they withdraw power, add the value of the dice beside the model to the casting roll. After the effects of the spell has been resolved, change the value of the dice back to 1.
So you can have loads of people getting +1 always, or really push something through, even if it's cast on a 10 from some little archers or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, what I might do actually, because I'm a bit worried about bodies, I might just triple up the Legion. So if you go rather than doubling the Sentinels, is go 3 units of Wardens, 3 units of 10 Sentinels, so just take minimums. And that gives us 40 points left over. And then that could be Palisade.
How much use skating on the drops at the moment? Are you trying to do as much as you can within the formation?
Free drop. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So the other thing I thought about doing is you could try and put in a Blade Lord unit, but as soon as you do that, you're increasing your drops.
Expensive for each wound as well, even if they're good.
Prismatic, that's why I couldn't find it. So that's Prismatic, Palisade, the Twin Stones, the Spell Portal, Aurian Legion, and they're all wizards as well. 3 units of Wardens, 3 units of Sentinels. So that gives you 60 models, in 6 units of 10. 3 heroes. One's Teclis. So I think that's pretty strong.
I think it's pretty good. The nice thing about Palisade is it's not all about Teclis. You could just go, you could win a battle by going Lawmaster, Palisade, dude's next to it. You can't reach it for 2 turns. I've won. That could be the battle done at that point, couldn't it? He is so good.
Now, I don't think you can I mean, the Law Seeker probably, I don't know if you can or can't have artifacts. It's so confusing. So I'm sure that's going to be FAQ'd soon.
You could give him the 3s1. That wouldn't be... Do you want him to be your...
He can't. I don't think he can have them because there's a bit that contradicts it in the pitch battle profile that was pointed out in our video. So I have to wait for the FAQ. So I don't want to give him artifacts if you can't do it. So if you can, it opens up a choice of what you want to do. But you could give him Silver Wand or Leaping Gold or whatever. So, but effectively, the Kaflar could be a general, and then she would have to have the CIR stuff. So having the formation is just to keep your drops down and doesn't really help you.
Got you.
So that's one option. Like, just straight up, I don't think it's awful. Obviously, all these models except the Law Seeker were available when the first book dropped.
I think he kind of plays into that style of army anyway. You know, you're not spending 350 points on Teleport Kangaroo Bow Dude when that's going to take you to over 1,000 points spent on character, are you?
No. I mean, one of the options you could do if you really wanted to is you could lean into the... Sorry?
Looking at the kangaroo formation.
Well, you can. I'm not sure it really synergizes with Teclis.
No, that's kind of...
Because it doesn't have any wizards, really.
It's the second approach, isn't it? That's like, I've got all my casting from this one dude, and then the rest of my army's going to do other stuff, and we don't need any more wizards, but I think his strength is he's kind of leaning into it.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do, if you wanted the Dawn Rider unit and you wanted to go alumni, then obviously you could just drop the 2 new units you've added. So you could drop like the Warden and a Sentinel unit and just put 2 units of Dawn Riders in to give you the units to push.
You have more drops though then, don't you? Because it's the wrong formation.
But then you don't worry about drops because you can screen.
Yeah.
So if you're playing Alumna, then like you would just change this Alumnia, and then you would go, actually, I don't care about the Sentinels, and I want the Dawn Riders. And what it would allow you to do as well, so you could go for the 2 Dawn Rider units, and I think you're going to be 30 points under, and then is you could not even run the formation if you really didn't want to.
Yeah, points are tight with Teclis.
You're not really getting anything other than the drop. If you don't care about it, then you're like, well, what does the formation give me? Reroll save rolls. Well, it's been free of another units. It's okay, sort of 1. Yeah. So it's okay, but it's not really worth the command points. Yes, but do you care?
Well, when you're not in Sire, you don't have as sexy stuff to do with them anyway. So it kind of, I feel like you go to like don't care about drops going in this direction, or do care about drops going in this direction. This ends up with a lot more of the old troops, and in this direction ends up with more flexibility, higher drops, and the new troops. Probably more bodies on the table, or maybe more variety in the bodies on the table at least as well. I think yours is the best. Like, Bunny is the best out of the 2 ways to go, though. I think objectively that kind of falls into the most obvious strengths of the army and counters the weaknesses.
Yeah, and then you could do something like that. So you could go Teclis, Kaflar. You don't need the Kaflar because you don't need that model. So you could chop her out. I mean, she's quite good, but you could swap her for something a little bit more like useful. Like can't have a second Law Seeker, so maybe like the twins would be good, or what else? Maybe the Regent would be good. He's 150. That's 2,000 bang on. So that's Teclis, the Law Seeker, the Regent, 2 units of 10 Wardens, 1 unit of 20 Sentinels, 1 unit of 10 Dawn Riders, 5 Blade Lords, and the 3 Endless. So
pretty cool.
And that would be an Alumnia. So that's going to be your...
That looks a bit more varied on the table as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and like it's kind of like you've got a little bit more combat. Your Dawn Riders would be your push out unit against 1 drop, but you don't have to use it, or you could use that aggressively.
You've got more Lone Rangers in that list, haven't you? It's less of like, here's my blob, I hope that you're dead.
Yeah, strategy. And the Lord Regent, he's pretty good. I mean, he does give you a... so I know he's quite a popular model. I'm not that sold on him. But he's got a 14-inch move and a 3-up save, so he's pretty good. And then it's -1 to hit, and add 1 to casting roll when he tries to cast Greater Power Hish. And Greater Power Hish is D3 units Could get their sun metal weapons, so he can buff like the Sentinels and the Dawn Riders. The same with one cast.
Cool option.
Yeah, he's a wizard as well, so that's fine. But I think he's pretty cool. I mean,
do you need another character? Can you just like a Lore Master like counts for twice as much character as normal as far as objective play goes? At least, could you just be Teclis, Lore Master, more dudes?
I tend to just run 3 characters in most of my lists minimum because of scenarios.
Never had a Lore Master though, have you? Does that change it?
Maybe, but I would want to play some games before I dropped him out.
Yeah,
I want to see how he behaves.
Teclis isn't there to be standing on an objective being indestructible either, is he? So.
No, he's not. So I think as well, like it's quite a nice balance of what you're doing. I think you do something like that, but the Venari Blade Lords could be teleported near to the Lore Seeker for the protection, and you know the Lore Seeker can cast out the Palisade if you want to protect even more. I mean, yeah, you could drop him. You could change that to an Aether Void Pendulum to play aggressive. With the Portal and the Aether Void, you could potentially go right Portal, put spell Portal down, do the explosion. Lore Seeker's alpha scouted. He's going to drop the Aether Void Pendulum. So it's pretty good. I mean, I think obviously you haven't got the power of drops, so the alpha isn't going to be there. But that's why I kind of like the other list, because it's like a 2-drop or 3-drop.
I think
so.
The other one's more like I've got my game plan. My game plan is X. This one is I have a toolbox and my options are X, Y, and Z. Even if it is slightly, I think it'd be more fun to play, in my opinion. You know, your games would be more varied and it'd probably be a bit more fun for your opponent.
It probably would be, yeah. But I don't know if Teclis is ever going to make the game fun. But
yeah, I was going to say, heads up, guys. Not negging on him, but he is one of the least interactive play experiences that's ever been designed, in my opinion. There's a reason he's not in my list. Cool model, cool concept. He's absolutely the Magic Master Supreme, but your opponent doesn't particularly get a say in what you do. It's very non-interactive. And the Lumineth could be argued are kind of in that direction anyway. They've got a billion once a game abilities and stuff. So if your opponents aren't enjoying things as much, you could absolutely go from, you know, the 2 drops, I always do the same thing, to mixing it up a bit. You probably don't need too much help if you've if you've got Teclis anyway, unless you're in a particularly weird meta.
Yeah, it is one of those things that I mean, it is what it is. Like, you know,
I mean, he is supreme at Magic. He pushes through Magic.
He can be a bit one-dimensional. I mean, one thing you can do just quickly on the list is if you wanted to run the twins, because I quite like those, especially for command point generation. If you get around the fact you don't have a formation, so you literally run Archmaid, the Teclis, Lore Seeker, Eliana and Elafor, the War Sages. So 2 to 10 Wardens, 20 Sentinels, 10 Dawn Riders, Spell Portal, Twin Stones, Palisade. So obviously those Dawn Riders could be 2 5s if you want to have them spread out and you want to be a bit more. So you could just split those up. Same with the Sentinels.
That's a funky list. But that's about as left field as you can get with Teclis on the table, I think.
But what I like about Eleanor and Elafor is they are particularly good. I just think because they got 2 spells, you know, they've obviously got Salvation of Hish, they've got
their little zappy laser weird scare threat as well.
Yeah, and they've got the teleport translocation stuff going on. So once about the shooting phase, unleash a Sunbolt, pick 1 point within 12, draw in a magic straight line, and then roll a dice for each unit on a 2+ number wounds to the battle round. So you could use that in, like, you could teleport AOE. It and then bomb something. I mean, like, you'd hit like 1 thing, maybe 2, but you could basically just go, I need to do 4 mortal wounds to that thing on the other side of the table. Teclis will translocate me. Even if you're far away from Teclis, you could go mirror, translocate, teleport over, sunbeam, take it off. So I just quite like the play, like with
kind of precision play, isn't it? And it also lets you back up if your AoE effect from Teclis, you know, you rolled low on your rolls or whatever it was, you rolled too many 1s, you rolled low on your D3s, they can go in and maybe scoop up 2 two things that are just about alive that are important.
Yeah, and they're fun, right?
Yeah, they're like interesting.
Let's just see what the wind temple thing feels like. I mean, the biggest problem is you're gonna have to be Helen, which doesn't really do anything for Teclis. And then let's just see if you can get the wind temple in. Probably should be able to, because the core, they're so cheap, aren't they? The wind charges.
This is going to feel a bit kind of trying to make a round peg.
Yeah, I think you just like you pick which one you want to do and lean into it rather than try and do both. Is probably the way I'd describe it.
But, be interesting though.
Yeah, and maybe you'd say, well, actually, it's quite good, and you could take the battalion, which is the what's it called, the Hurricane Temple. Yeah, so it's still got some points. So let's make another unit of those. We got 9, 10. Still got 90 points left. So you could drop the Palisade, gives you 120. We do put a unit of something in. I don't know. Can't really do much with that.
Welcome to Teclis life.
10 points over. Should have another one. I don't know how many units of wind charge. I think it's 2 actually.
2 minimum, I think.
I think it's 2 in total. I might be wrong. No, it must be more. 1 to 3. So yeah, you could have 4 units. So you could have 250 points left, so you could then put in the twins. No, do 260. The non-hero kangaroo is 300, isn't he? So or is he 250? He's 300. The non-hero is 250. Yeah. So you could put him in if you really wanted to.
That was your theme, which is kangaroos and Teclis.
What is he called? Something Spirit of the Wind. Is he in here? I think you've got it on the hero. He's on the hero section, but he's not a hero. So that's an error on Warscroll Builder.
Yeah, feels a bit weird that he's not.
Hurricane, Spirit of the Wind. So yeah, so you've got Severith, Hurricane, Spirit of the Wind, a Wind Mage, 3 units of 5 wind charges. The Hurricane Temple, two endless spells. Teclis. I think the problem is Teclis is very exposed.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's a free drop. You've only got. I mean, it's such a small army. You've only got 70 wounds in it. I mean, it's like
they move fast, but yeah, I think, like I said, I think that's trying to make something fit that doesn't quite. It would be cool to play, and if your opponents want to bloody break, then consider taking that.
I'm not sure it's much better for a player experience, but because you're basically going, I've got the one thing that doesn't interact with you, and I've just multiplied it by 10.
Yeah.
You can't. They may only be 70 wounds. You just can't get to the bloody things.
Like smoke in the wind and then a thunderstorm in the middle.
I'm not a fan of that list. I just wouldn't do it. I think you need to. If you go in Hurricane, Teclis doesn't really fit with it.
I agree.
So, but yeah. So I think you've got the Alumnia and you've got the Sire. I think if you want to lean into it, Sire with the 2-drop is probably stronger.
I think so.
Per se. But I think for a bit more fun is Alumnia mixed with a more varied army.
Agree, yeah. Maybe you cut your teeth on that and you learn more about the other capabilities of the army, because I don't think you'd learn as much playing the 2-drop one.
It's going to be way more flexible, right? So
yeah, completely. You don't have like I play 90% the same in most of my games, and then mostly ended by turn 2.
It's a little bit more forgiving, because you've got an army that does stuff without Teclis if you need it, and I think you can also, because you've got the pre-game move thing, you don't have to worry about is it the right turn to pop his eighth quartz to do the thing. Actually, you just go, I don't need to make that decision because I don't have it, so you can still get +1 save on it in that army. So
No, I'd agree with that. I think the more specialised you go, you tend to find more and more that you're rock, paper, scissoring your own potential bad matchups. So if someone is bad for you, they're going to be really bad for you. And there might be literally nothing you can do about it because you have, 1.1 game plans instead of 15.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty much everything about Teclis. If we've missed anything and you think there's something really cool we didn't talk about, or you've got some Teclis lists that you're particularly excited about, post them below, let us know. We're always happy to see that. And if there's any corrections, please let us know. We do appreciate that because it just makes us better. So I'd rather you say it than so don't ever feel like you're being a type guy. We love it.
Yeah, so, go for it to help us out.
Yeah, all right. Well, like and subscribe, algorithm things, and support us. You can buy us a coffee. You can, go onto our Discord, chill out, buy some merch. All the links in the description. If you want to know what we use hobby-wise, podcasting equipment-wise, gaming equipment, you can go to the Amazon storefront. Anything you buy on there, we just get a little kickback. Helps us. Even if you buy something slightly different, we'll still get a bonus. So if you go to Amazon, it helps us. Don't
make any sensible purchases. Just pick up some pretty dice and then maybe counter them with some templates so you can feel like one of them was a necessity.
Yeah. That's definitely the best way to support us, is either through Ko-fi or to go to Element Games and pick up templates or dice or the paint racks or anything like that that's FACEHAMMER merchandise. If you click on the link below, but also on our website, the dice link will take you to the merchandise page. But we do appreciate any of that help. It goes to buying more equipment, better cameras, things like that, so we can make the show better and spend more time on it. So but anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you all again soon.
See you in a bit, guys. Bye.